Welcome to Lake Argyle. It's very nice. It's also very humid. It's the equivalent of being in a shower without the water at the moment. No, that's not a thing, is it? It's moist, to say the least. It's not bad, but no, it is bad. It's hot and very humid. A few more days, I'll be heading back down to Perth, where it's like 23, 25 or something like that. Much more pleasant temperatures for wrapping yourself up in bike kit. Anyway, I just thought I'd come to Lake Argyle this morning and have a little roam around, see what's about. I think I can ride down onto that dam. So we're going to do just that. I don't know where this road goes, but I just thought it was quite cool. Come down and have a look. Oh, it's dead end. Just trying to head back up and out. I think this is one of the better views for that way than going down there, but there's... might just take a quick picture. Wow, this is cool. My side stand needs a bit of oiling. I've got something stuck on it. What's going on here? Whatever. Well, that was Lake Argyle. Here we have a bushfire. I don't know whether or who or how it got lit. Could either be lightning strike or somebody's physically set it alight. This is actually moving quite quick here, and that. You can see all the birds. They're obviously swooping around. I think they're pretty much all wedge-tailed eagles of some sort. I guess they'll be picking off all the little animals that are going to be running away from the fire. That's close. But I know it's not going to get too far, because there's nothing here where I'm stood. But I might just, you're going to be alright? A bit worried. But there's actually nothing down here really, so I don't think it's gonna go that way. It moved pretty quick, so I pulled up and it was there, and it's gone to there already. And obviously when it gets to these sort of tufts, it really does pick up quickly, like that. Flares up and then goes, and it's all raging all over there as well. Well, I smell a smoke now. Well, in this short space of time, maybe 3 or 4 minutes I've stood here, obviously we pulled up and it was there, and now it's swept all the way through here. The flames were pretty close to the bike, which is dangerous because I've got a tank of fuel on the back. But it's time to move on, I think. It's getting a bit smoky. All the birds still picking off all the bugs that have what have you, that went across the road. I don't know whether that is a wedge-tailed eagle because it looks a bit small. Yeah, so it's just going to rage over there. There's obviously it's quite big just over here. If we can see some flames. Yeah. Sort of burn there. This is the sort of. Last time I've ridden through like a bit of one like this, but it was just sort of smouldering like this. You couldn't see the actual fire, but that was right against the road. Really interesting to see the fire though. So you do see them when you're in Australia. Anyway, just going to crack on my way to Halls Creek. Just going to get some fuel there, see what time it is. Push on a bit more. Just lovely views of mountainous sort of ranges or hilly ranges. There's loads of random rocks dotted around on top of them, like all the big boulders that are up there, and the random boulders that are like this here. They're pretty cool. Just stopped for lunch just outside of Halls Creek, so I'm just going to carry on and see how far I get, something like 2:30 or something. Anyway, went to that bin. As I was walking back, I noticed that one of the panniers is not 100% in the same sort of orientation as the other one. So this one here is relatively like square with the bike, and this one is kind of pointed in and down. So I think that's when I fell off on the sort of Pentecost. You can also see it when you come around here as well. Not that my jacket's hanging in the way, but if I tilt the camera with the bike, you see that this is relatively straight, and then if I just pan over, this one is more like, yeah, down and in, so the bottom corner is taking a whack. The other thing is that the lids aren't sitting completely square. So like the base, the top of the panniers have kind of done that, or have fallen away from the main rack, and of course the lid hasn't, so it's open. I mean, not the end of the world. It's obviously taking a bit of a beating with the thing, and I'm going to leave because these flies are everywhere. Right, well, why am I riding at night? So I pitched my camp sort of about 100 k's from Fitzroy Crossing. Somebody said to me, don't camp this area. Well, a lot of Australians say that. And I was kind of, the only reason I did is I'd ridden 700 kilometres, and I was like, oh, do you know what, it might probably be alright. And I looked at wiki camps, and everyone was like, oh yeah, no, it's fine, you know, it's a lovely spot, nice sunset. So I sat there, and I was watching the sunset, and it was all quite nice. And then like 3 sort of teenagers came up to me in a car. They sort of drove past me, and I was right at the back in the corner of the campsite. They drove right up to me, drove past me, drove back away again, then spun round and came back. At this point I got up and walked up to them, and you know, I was like, oh, you alright? Like, what you guys up to? You know, kind of just politely confronting them. Yeah, they were just like I think a 16, 17, 19-year-old driving around in a car. They lived like just down the road. Because it was so quiet, I could hear them driving out, and then I could actually hear them getting out of their cars. And I was like, okay, so those boys live quite close. Maybe they were just coming over to scope out my stuff. And do you know what I mean? I just wasn't sure whether they were going to try and come back at night and be a bit stealthy and try and steal stuff. So I kind of set myself up in a way that, you know, I moved the bike really close to the tent, and I locked my bag to the foot peg that had my stuff in it, and I was sleeping in a way without the outer shell on, so I would see, and I sort of set myself up prepared if they were to turn up, basically. Anyway, the reason I'm actually moving and on the bike is because while I was sat there, I could see a thunderstorm on the horizon from where I just come from, and I'm in a very wide open space, and again I was just like, I don't want to be in a thunderstorm in my tent with the bike right next to me. Like, it just chits me up. So I was watching it, and it seemed to, the lightning strikes seemed to get more and more and more, and they seemed to get a bit closer, and I was watching it to see if it moved, and it moved over to the right, but then it also moved over to the left. So I was like, okay, so this thing is either just getting closer, and therefore, you know, that's why it's expanding left and right to me, or it's kind of moving round me at the same time. And I was just like, I'm not going to stay here. So I got up and I've ridden off. It's now 7:15, so it's not late, it's just dark, and I have to be very careful of routes and things. So I'm just travelling at 80 kilometres an hour, taking it steady and just going to watch out, and I might just see how I go, really. Now I'm on the bike, I just threw everything in my back bag, so it's really large now, but it's everything's just in there, and that, you probably can't see it, but just over to my right looks like a very large bushfire going on. It's all like lit up the sky, and I keep thinking there's lightning strikes behind me, but it's not. It's my spot jet flashing in the mirror. But if I sit still and stop and look back, I will see them. So I just thought maybe I'll outrun the storm, move from those boys, just not camp here like I was suggested. I was a bit tired, so I'm quite grateful of the break, but now I've just got to be very, very wary of animals in the road. So yeah, just going to take it steady. I'm kind of hoping that Fitzroy Crossing petrol station is 24 hours or something like that. I'm going to top up my tank and fill up the jerry cans behind me. I did just use like probably 50% of that jerry can, just to make sure that I didn't run out between here and Fitzroy Crossing. And I'm just going to ride and then find a camp spot later. I'll catch you in a bit once I've got to where I am, although it's probably dark, you probably can't see anyway, so I might just not bother doing anything and just update you in the morning. Well, it's like 10 o'clock at night, and I've made it basically 185 k's from where I was. I tried to outrun the storm, but literally as I've been pitching my tent, it's been spitting with rain and starting to come in, but I feel a bit safer here because I've got one of the covered seat benches, although it's only a small one, literally just basically halfway above my head. It kind of ends, unfortunately, I'm right on the end of it. It's only small. I was kind of hoping it was going to be like a wide enough one I can almost put my tent on top of the chair and then be under the cover, which means I could sleep without the outer shell on. But unfortunately I've got to have that on because if it rains I'm going to get wet. So that's flapping about because I can't peg it down because I'm on concrete. But at least in my tent I'm not near those guys that were driving around me, and I'm now not, I feel a bit safer because I'm not in a big open space with the thunder and lightning storm. I'm now under some tree line and under a metal shelter, so the bike's under metal shelter as well, which is nice. So just going to hunker down. It is so hot because there's any ventilation, any air is shut off now because of the outer shell. So it's just like a little sauna in here. So I'll see how much I can sleep. If not, whatever. We'll get up at 4 or 5, and there's some rather large bugs sat underneath my tent, probably attracted to the light with a torch. and now they're stuck in there, buzzing in a little gap. So I don't know what to do with them. Squash them, or maybe see if I can pull the tent, put a little tunnel, and you can sod off. Anyway, good night. 7 o'clock in the morning. Well, last night. So, after riding in the dark for basically I did 180 kilometres in the dark, and I pulled in. I left at 7. I got to Fitzroy Crossing. I managed to find a fuel station, so I got some fuel and a sandwich. I also filled the jerry can up with fuel just in case I needed that. So I left Fitzroy and I was bolting along, and there were lots of fires, and there was another fire that was really bright, so I took some pictures of it, which were pretty cool, because it was really amazing to see the fire when it was completely dark, and you just see this really orange glow. Like, I actually pulled over and turned the lights off on the bike, and was taking a moment to look at it, because it was really amazing. Didn't have any issues, didn't even see a single roo or cow or anything on the road, so that was nice. And I had to very quietly pull into the campsite, and I pitched my tent. That was all a bit of a kerfuffle, because the storm had kind of caught up with me. I don't think it rained last night. The thunder and lightning definitely didn't come overhead, but a few drops of rain were falling, quite big drops of rain were falling on the floor as I was pitching my tent, which was making me rush and panic, going, oh crap, it's going to absolutely chuck it down, and you know, there's going to be this big storm, and so I was really panicking, and I was trying to pitch my tent quickly whilst trying to keep it dry, and this was like Saturday, 10 o'clock at night. I did 915 kilometres yesterday, which is the biggest day I'll probably ever do. Yeah, anyway, and I thought, well, that was the end of my issues, you know, pitch my tent, I can now relax, go to bed. So I laid in bed, I ate my sandwich, I left 2 tiny little bits of crust, because I just couldn't be bothered, I was too tired of them. So I put them in the pack, pushed it to one side, and went to sleep. Both my zips are right at the top of the tent. I thought, well, I'm in my nice netting, I can go to sleep. I had my outer shell over, but I opened the 2 doors and pinned them back so I could get a little bit of air through as it wasn't raining. And I woke up this morning and I was all itchy. And then I was like, oh, there's a little fly or something on me. Maybe it's come from my t-shirt that I put on top of my tent when I was at the previous campsite. It turned out it was ants, and I believe they're Singapore ants, which are only little, and they're really small, and they're red. Right? They're probably actually smaller than English ants. When I woke up, and I sort of looked, this was like 4:30, so it was kind of daylight, and I put my glasses on, and I was like, oh shit, there's like about 1,000 ants in my tent, all buzzing around this sandwich. I don't understand this little bit of bread that was in there. I don't understand how they got in, but they all got in. And so 4:30 this morning, I was like, oh great, I need to get up, I need to sort this out. Then I got out of bed, put my socks and boots on, and then started to pull things out of my tent. Brush off the ants, and start putting on this picnic table that was just there, and starting to slowly go through and removing all the ants from the tent, which took me ages. As I say, it's now 7 o'clock, and although I was chatting to a nice guy that was there, William, I was still kind of doing things when he was talking, and I've been doing it for a couple of hours now. So everything had to be wiped down. I had to use baby wipes to wipe down the inside of the tent to scoop up all the ants, and there was just so many of them, and they were like in the tent, under the tent, around like my gear. I've got the dry sacks, so I just wipe that down and get all the ants off, because there was just like a whole ant's nest in my tent, and so I'm now covered in like little bites, where they were biting me for ages. And at 4:30 in the morning, I couldn't work out what it was. I just thought maybe it was just a bit prickly heat or a bit itchy or something. I didn't really think about it. The humidity level is so sticky. Like, it's not warm right now, but it's very, very like sticky. So I was just like, sweating in my tent. It was horrible. Worst night in Australia, and the ants topped it off this morning. Anyway, everything's packed away. I'm 99% sure I've got rid of all of the ants. So yeah, I think it's like 300 k's, something to Broome, maybe 400. I just thought I'd inform you of the rest of my evening. I'm quite tired because of it. I have yawned about a billion times in this video. Anyway, I'm going to go back to music and just cruise along this road. I've had some little breakfast, I've got plenty of water, I've got plenty of fuel. In fact, Derby is only like 200 k's, 190 k's, something like that away. So these boab trees, I think they're only in northern Australia. But that's what a small one-ish looks like. And that's what a big one looks like. They're just really like they go I don't know, they're just really fat. Unfortunately, people have been writing all over this. Whoever Kong is, they're pretty amazing. This thing's huge. There is one that's the biggest one in Australia, and I've got my car parked next to it. And I think it was wider. The base was wider than my car. But yeah, I just thought I just spotted that from the side of the road. Thought it worth a little stop and a look. See, ride round it. Yeah, all different. It's all just really weird shaped. It's like lots of trees that have grown together in a mess, and it's all like bobbly and weird. Almost looks hollow in the middle as well. Oh, it's actually hollow in the middle. I'll get inside it. Oh, look at this. Oh, it's hollow in the middle. Oh, where does that? Yeah, look. How odd. Well, that's quite cool. Sun's in my eyes, so I can't see. Oh, there we go. I managed to bend my side stand as well, like just the base of it. That's why the other day at Lake Argyle I was like, oh, that's weird, my side stand's floating on something. I tried kicking whatever it was that I thought was stuck on the bottom, and it isn't. I think the back of the metal is basically, rather than being flat, has got a curve in it. So when a side stand sits down, it's sitting on that curve, and the rest of it's being pushed up. And the bike's too heavy to put on its centre stand, so I can't, and it hasn't bent back under its own weight, so I can't bend it back without taking all the luggage off, and I can't bother, so it stays like that. I'll fix it when I get home. Oh, that was a cool tree.